Hey soldiers, Illinois Governor JB Pritzker recently signed a bill into law. Some are calling that law the Purge Law. Now, of course, the Purge being that movie franchise where the plot is for one day out of every year, any and every crime, even violent crime, is permissible by law. Some are calling this law the Purge Law. Now, the official name of the legislation is the Safety Act, which should clue you in right there that it's probably not going to result in a whole lot of safety.
I'm in danger.
Simply because we know that whatever a legislator names something, the exact opposite actually occurs, like the Inflation Reduction Act. Okay? So we're going to look at how, first of all, we're going to take a look at the bill with the law and walk through it in a sensible manner. But we're also going to link this to the performance of assets in any area, any municipality, state, or in the federal government as well, in the country, in relation to assets held in those places. Because we've got to ask ourselves a question. In an environment where you can't guarantee safety, is that a place you should be investing in any way, shape, or form? All right, let's start off with the name of the bill. It's called the Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Today Act. Okay, they just had to shoehorn that acronym in there somehow. So, the Safety Act. Passed with the backing of the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus. It's interesting because we're going to see how high crime rates actually disproportionately act on black communities. Okay, black communities are hurt the worst by high crime rates, but here we got the Black Caucus is supporting that. So what is this bill? Well, it's many things. One of the provisions of the bill is the elimination of cash bail. Now, that is the thing that has people calling this the Purge Act. One of the more controversial provisions of the bill abolishes cash bail in Illinois and replaces it with a system that will prioritize the severity of an offense, the risk of not appearing for court, and the threat and danger the individual poses to another person or the community if they were to be released. Now, we've seen all over the country where especially in New York, they've been, relaxing the bail standards and releasing people before the report can even be completed by the police. And it has resulted in more crime being committed by the person that was released. Go figure. Criminal doing criminal activity. It's shocking, I know.
You're on your own. There's a lot of jungle.
The provision does not go into effect until January 1st, 2023, but opponents claim it will allow dangerous and violent criminals back on the street, tying the hands of prosecutors who seek to keep the accused individuals incarcerated before a conviction. Now, they've got a representative up there by the name of Justin Slaughter. He's a Chicago Democrat who supported the Safety Act in 2021. In April, he accused Republicans of the bad stench of racism in their opposition to the reform. It's always racism.
Because you're black.
I mean, you don't have to be too creative these days. If you oppose something and you really don't want to see this thing occur, or you do and someone else opposes it, just accuse them of racism, right? And that's the way to go. No intellectual heavy lifting required. In an interview, Slaughter said the current system of cash bail has, quote, an adverse impact on those that don't have money. Okay, I can see that being true. Especially, look, let's say you're arrested and you legitimately did not commit the crime. But it just so happens that you are not someone who has a lot of money laying around. And you get slapped with a bail. I don't really know how exactly it works, but I know in Maryland, if they say you've got a $50,000 bail, then that means that under most circumstances you have to come up with $5,000, okay? And people sign over the deeds to their homes and all kinds of things to kind of secure this, to get people out of prison or jail. So if you legitimately did not commit the crime and you're sitting there in a jail cell and you can't get out, you can't work, okay? So you can't afford to, pay for your defense. At least you can't. Maybe others can. And I've heard a lot of attorneys say that you being out of jail is the most effective way to help them plead your case or to work on building a defense for you. So let's be honest. This happens, okay? Innocent people are arrested all the time. Now, the advice that I have received, and I think this is out there, is just don't talk to the police. You have a right. You have a right to a defense, okay? You have the right to speak to an attorney. And the police are trying to solve a crime. They're not trying to defend you. That's your job, you and your attorney. So, all right, let's put that on the side for now. The Safety Act states that all defendants, quote, shall be presumed eligible, unquote, for pretrial release unless prosecutors present clear and convincing evidence to deny the suspect pretrial release, such as proof that the suspect committed the crime and possesses a threat to the physical safety of a specific identifiable person. Now, look, and we must remember we do have a presumption of innocence under the law. We are presumed innocent until proven guilty. So they're putting an enormous burden on prosecutors because they're saying that they will not be able to deny pretrial release unless the prosecutors are able to demonstrate proof the suspect committed the crime. And that's really not what that stage is for. That's for the actual trial where you get to put on the defense as a defendant and the prosecutor gets to state their case. No one's going to prove your guilt or innocence at that detainment phase right after you're arrested. And look, if they're saying that they've got to produce proof that the suspect committed the crime, it's just going to put a hell of a burden on the prosecution, on the people, okay? So imagine you've got somebody that has just raised hell throughout your neighborhood and maybe assaulted several people.
Take the money out! All of it! Don't stall me, fat boy. Let's go!
There's no evidence of it. Then this person is most likely coming back to your neighborhood in a few hours to raise more hell, quite probably.
Come on!
Okay, so as I was saying, I think that there is, more. I think that there are more guilty people behind bars than there are innocent. Although we must believe that there are some innocent people behind bars, which is a travesty and needs to be definitely resolved. And there are lawyers like the Innocence Project that work on that every day, all day, doing good work. But we do need to examine the fact that this is going to have a deleterious effect on assets. Now, already, you've got McDonald's, or as my dearly departed grandmother used to call them, McDonald's. McDonald's CEO says Chicago is in crisis, urges city leaders to address surge in crime. So you've got a major corporation, a major employer, okay, in Chicago saying, hey guys, this is a problem. So it's not unprecedented that a business would speak out in this way, but it typically tends to take major corporations a while before they will pipe up and say, hey, this is an issue. So why is McDonald's doing this right now? McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczynski has called on government and business leaders in Chicago to do more to address safety concerns in the city amid a wave of crime and violence. The CEO made the comments during a speech at the Economic Club of Chicago. They had a luncheon on Wednesday, but stated that the company will not be deterred by the surge in violence, homelessness, and drug abuse throughout the city, and still plans to stay put. The CEO said the company will move its innovation center from Romeoville to its West Loop headquarters. However, the CEO said the burger chain had been battling chronic crime issues, which have in turn made it harder for the chain to recruit new workers. Well, you know, McDonald's is already moving forward with automation. They're moving forward with that at great speed. We talked about Flippy, the robot, the other day. So robots, that's going to be the solution to McDonald's problem that they're facing with crime.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
They may not go that far, but they will have not have to face employee safety, human employee safety. You know, because in a few years there won't be any human employees. Or there may be, you know, some guy or girl traveling from McDonald's to McDonald's just making sure the machinery is in good working order. But that's about it. There's no clear plan from city leaders. There never is. Here in Baltimore, I just read over the mayor's crime plan today. It's filled with all kinds of word salad and, you know, buzz terms, but nothing substantive. And we have an amount of murders and non-fatal shootings, both much higher than they were this time last year. How many people, with a show of hands here, would say that they knew what the plan is? Exactly what are we doing? What are the metrics? How are we going to track progress? I mean, this is what you do in business day in and day out. You have a plan, you have a set of vectors, you have milestones, and you track the progress. How are we doing that? That's the CEO of McDonald's talking. He's trying to send a message to Mayor Lori Lightfoot, asking her, you know, hey, lady, what's going on here? How are you going to solve this problem? McDonald's operates nearly 400 restaurants in Chicago, covering almost every neighborhood. According to Chicago Business, the Chicago Business newsletter, the company said it has contributed approximately $2 billion, with a B, dollars in the 12 months ending June 30th, 2022, to the economy of Cook County, Illinois alone, okay, to say nothing of the larger state of Illinois. Kempczynski's comments come as data from the Chicago Police Department from the start of state that from the start of 2022 through September 11th, murders were down 15% year over year. However, thefts are up 65%, robberies are up 18%, and burglaries are up 28%. All right, so again, can't stress to you enough. We've got a major corporation there that they're having some difficulties. Now let's take a look at how, because there's a lot of, hey, you heard the guy Slaughter, the representative, say that, oh, if you oppose this, you're racist. But the fact of the matter is, increases in violent crime can lower property values, reduce business profitability, and decrease investment in communities, okay? We already saw how McDonald's said, you know, we're putting $2 billion in here. So if they were to say, hey, you know, let's slow down a little because we're not seeing what we need to see for the safety of our employees, for the safety of our customers. I do not feel safe going into Baltimore City, okay? I do not feel comfortable taking my wife to a restaurant known as Tio Pepe's. Tio Pepe's is a great, authentic Spanish restaurant. The food is an experience. But guess what? Because I don't want to end up in shock trauma, I don't want to end up in the cemetery, and I definitely don't want to end up in central booking, I don't go to Baltimore City, okay? So if Tio Pepe's is listening to this, watching this video, and I know they are, then consider at least opening up another location in one of the counties where so far the government respects my safety. They respect me because I am spending money in their municipality. That's not what happens in Baltimore City. So anytime someone says that if you oppose these soft on crime measures, you are somehow racist, as if black people are the only ones who commit crime. You know, so it's kind of racist for them to say that. Just remind these people that violent crime and high crime rates have a very negative effect on the pocketbooks of black people, okay? Never understood why these cities do not let their citizens, most of these big-time liberal cities, they don't let their citizens, do not want to let you own a firearm. So imagine there's some guy, because I used to do this. When I first started out in the work world, I would get off of the bus at about 11 o'clock at night, and I would have a 3-block walk. Now, this was back in the 90s, and, it was cool. You had your issues, but nothing like today. So what about that lady that's doing that today? What about that guy that's doing that today? Okay, if this person's a law-abiding citizen just trying to feed their family, don't you want them to be able to maintain their number one asset? That's what I'm talking about when I say it's a lack of respect by certain politicians and political ideologies when it comes to the people who make the world work, who pay the taxes. Okay, so let's take another look at this. We've looked at this website a time or two. It's called How Money Walks. And if we go down here to Illinois, we see that it is colored red. Now, red is indicative of a state where they're bleeding money, okay? Now, if we take a closer look, just as a whole, Illinois has lost $68.45 billion in annual adjusted gross income between 1992 and 2019. That's a lot of money. They lose about $2,500 worth of AGI, adjusted gross income, every 20 seconds. Okay, you can see the data tick tick as we watch the screen. Now, if you go and you take a look at some of the counties in Illinois, if you look at Cook County right here on Lake Michigan, Cook County is where Chicago is, and Cook County has lost $50 billion in adjusted gross income in that same time period, 1992 through 2019. They lose about $1,000 worth of AGI every 10 to 12 seconds, all right? And part of the reason for that is crime. Another part is high taxation. So you got a double whammy there. All right, so this is what's going on. Understand the relationship between crime and your assets. Are you going to buy property and try to operate some sort of rental business in a city where people are afraid to live? That probably wouldn't be smart, simply because these people will, in order for them to, want to live there, the rents can't be exorbitant, or they can't be market rate, okay? Because you've got folk that this is their only choice. They don't have a lot of options, okay, in terms of where they live. Because if they did, they certainly wouldn't want to live in a crime-ridden neighborhood, right? The other thing is, are you going to buy a business in one of these areas, like a McDonald's, for example? If you can't guarantee the safety of your employees, you can't guarantee the safety of your customers that are in the store. Say somebody comes in there and they're accosted, or a gun is put in their face while they're waiting for a Big Mac from your McDonald's. That could turn out to be a hell of a liability issue, okay? Especially depending on if the worst happens. So I certainly would not want to purchase property of any sort, any assets that are connected to a crime-ridden area. And I think that as you can see here, if we go back to the How Money Walks data, you can actually see that money is leaving Illinois and it's going to places like Florida. Some of it's going to California, which is weird, but whatever. Texas, Arizona, and Wisconsin. So in most of the cases, money that's leaving Illinois is leaving for better environments in terms of taxation, at least, okay? Those that are packing up and leaving Florida to go to, leaving Illinois to go to California, good God, that's not a ringing endorsement for Illinois, now is it? If you're leaving the frying pan and jumping into the fire. All right, guys, I'm going to talk to you soon, but before we get out of here, I do want you to take a look at this video. It's going to talk about the IRS and how they want to approach taxation going forward. They actually want you to basically surrender. If you're a W-2 employee, they want you to surrender your oversight of your own taxes in one scenario. In another, they're going to go ahead and strongly consider eliminating the refund check. And that is not necessarily a bad thing. Watch the video to find out more, guys. I will talk to you soon.